It's in the first half of the tribulation. 1. The seal judgments. Revelation 6 outlines 6 of the 7 seal judgments. The 7th contains the trumpet judgments that initiate the tribulation. The first 4 seals are also known as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. These judgments are the beginnings of God's wrath on the earth. 2. The rise of Antichrist and the 10-nation confederacy. The beginning of the tribulation will be marked by the signing of a covenant between Israel and the Antichrist. Daniel 9:26-27. The Antichrist will come on the scene in the first half of the tribulation, and he will be the head of a 10-nation confederacy that will rule the world during the tribulation. 3. The ministry of Elijah. The ministry of Elijah, Malachi 4:5-6, which may be fulfilled through the ministry of the 2 witnesses, will be one of the restoration toward the nation of Israel. It will be before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord, so it will occur during the first half of the tribulation. 4. The revival through the 144,000 Jewish evangelists. Revelation 7 details the call and ministry of the 144,000 Jewish evangelists who will preach the gospel during the first half of the tribulation. 5. The trumpet judgments. Revelation 8-9 describes 6 of the 7 trumpet judgments. As with the seal judgments, the last trumpet introduces the next series of judgments, in this case the bowl judgments. These judgments focus on the nature and include 2 of the 3 woe judgments. 6. The ministry of the 2 witnesses. Just as the 144,000 are engaged in the world evangelism, the 2 witnesses are sealed by God, Revelation 11:3-6, to be a special witness to Jerusalem and Israel. 7. The false church, also known as the ecclesiastical Babylon. The apostate church will have great power and influence during the first half of the tribulation, Revelation 17:1-6. This will aid the Antichrist in his deception. Events in the middle of the tribulation. 1. The little scroll. In Revelation 10:9-11, the Apostle John is commanded by the interpreting angel to eat a scroll. The content of the scroll is prophecy related to the middle and second half of the tribulation. Biblical prophecy is considered good, sweet by many people, but the message of judgment is hard to take, bitter. 2. The Antichrist is killed. Revelation 13:3 notes that the 7th head, a reference to the Antichrist, is killed. I saw one of his heads as if it had been slain, and his fatal wound was healed, and the whole earth was amazed and followed after the beast. 3. Satan is cast down to the earth from heaven. Revelation 12:7-9 reveals that Michael and his angels defeat Satan and cast him and his fallen angels to the earth. As a result, the trials during the second half of the tribulation intensify. 4. The resurrection of the Antichrist. One of the first things Satan does on earth after being cast out of heaven is to resurrect the Antichrist. Revelation 13:3-4 records this event, through which the Antichrist attempts to counterfeit Jesus the Messiah. 5. 3 kings are killed and 7 submit. After his death and resurrection, the Antichrist consolidates his worldwide rule by killing 3 of the 10 kings, which leads to the other 7 submitting to him voluntarily. This event provides the political basis from which the Antichrist will project his power during the last half of the tribulation. Revelation 17:12-13. 6. Destruction of the false church. As history has shown, when a tyrant reaches his goal of total political control, he destroys those who helped him reach that point. The Antichrist now destroys the harlot, ecclesiastical Babylon, as noted in Revelation 17:16, and the 10 horns which you saw, and the beast. These will hate the harlot, and will make her desolate and naked, and will eat her flesh, and will burn her up with fire. 7. The death and resurrection of the 2 witnesses. During the first half of the tribulation, the 2 witnesses were miraculously protected by God. Now God allows the deception of the Antichrist to deepen as he murders the 2 witnesses in Jerusalem, and the whole world rejoices. However, after 3.5 days, the 2 witnesses will be resurrected and taken to heaven in sight of all. Fear then grips those who have followed after the beast. 8. The worship of the Antichrist. Since the earth dwellers prefer the counterfeit over the genuine, they will be deceived into worshipping the Antichrist as God. 9. The false prophet. This person is a counterfeit of the ministry of the Holy Spirit in that he is temporarily empowered to do false signs, wonders, and miracles that will greatly aid the Antichrist's rise to power. False religion is the vehicle of deception for this second beast, the false prophet. 10. 666, the mark of the beast. Another ministry of the false prophet will be the administration of the counterfeit seal of the Holy Spirit. The famous mark of the beast, 666. Placement of this mark on the forehead or right hand will be required for anyone who wants to conduct economic transactions during the second half of the tribulation. It should be noted that any person receiving this mark cannot be saved. This mark will not be distributed during the first half of the tribulation. 11. The 7-year covenant broken. It is not at all surprising that the Antichrist should break his covenant with Israel. Such a move is in keeping with his character. This betrayal will involve the Antichrist's military invasion of Israel. He will also enter the beautiful land, and many countries will fall. But these will be rescued out of his hand, Edom, Moab, and the foremost of the sons of Ammon. Daniel 11:40. 12. The abomination of desolation. When the Antichrist breaks his covenant with Israel at the midpoint of the tribulation, he will set himself up as God to be worshipped in the rebuilt Jewish temple. This defiling act is called the abomination of desolation. This will be a sign to the Jews to flee Jerusalem. 13. The persecution of the Jews. The second half of the tribulation will be characterized by an extreme attempt to wipe out the Jews. Likely, Satan thinks that if the Jews are exterminated, God's plan for history will be thwarted. Satan might think that this would somehow prevent the second coming. This persecution is pictured in Revelation 12, 1-6. Events of the second half of the tribulation. 1. The bowl judgments. The bowl judgments are the most severe judgments of the entire tribulation. They occur in the second half of the tribulation, devastate the Antichrist's kingdom, and prepare the way for the second coming of Christ. The bowl judgments are the result of prayers of the saints for God to take revenge on their behalf. Revelation 15, 1-8. Revelation 16 describes the bowl judgments. 2. The protection of the Jewish remnant. At the midpoint of the tribulation, when the Antichrist commits the abomination of desolation, the Jews will flee Jerusalem. Apparently these Jews will be protected in the Jordanian village of Bozrah, known also as Petra. A remnant will be preserved through this and other means. 3. The conversion of Israel. Right before the second coming, the people of Israel will accept the messiahship of Jesus and become saved from their sins. This will prepare them for their role in the millennial kingdom after the second advent. And I will pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, so that they will look on me whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one mourns for an only son, and they will weep bitterly over him like the bitter weeping over a firstborn. Zechariah 12:10.